In today's video, I'll be taking you with me on a journey of how to build the smallest possible iron farms using the Create mod. And make sure to stay to the end because I'll be building a 4 by 4 by 1 block iron farm, which you do not want to miss. So to get iron with the Create mod, there are a few steps we need to take. The first is that we'll need cobblestone, and to get that we can use a cobblestone generator with an item called a mechanical drill to automatically mine it. Then from there we need to turn that into gravel using an item called a millstone, and finally we'll need to wash that gravel using an encased fan. And this is the setup for the drills, so you can see that it's pretty simple. So this first one here will work for Create 6.0, and if you don't have Create 6.0 or higher, I'll show you a version that does work for versions before. So what this does is you have your drill here and it's waterlogged, so whenever this drill breaks this piece of cobblestone, that water and lava will mix to make cobblestone, which will pop out. But this design only works if it has something to input into below it, which can be something like a chute or a millstone, which we'll need to put that cobblestone into anyway. So what happens is if we go to the back of this drill and we give it some rotational power, you'll see it breaking that cobblestone, and once it's done, it'll replace it and that cobblestone will go into the millstone. But keep in mind that you will have to place a piece of cobblestone here first, because if we were to just break this by hand, that water would actually spill out and turn that into obsidian. And it must be cobblestone and not stone, or else the same thing will happen. As you can see, when this breaks, it just goes into lava, or obsidian rather. But there's also this design that also works for Create 6.0, but unlike the others, this will be the only one that works for anything before Create 6.0. And this works because water flows faster than lava, and whenever this lava flows down onto the water, that's what will create the stone. So as we can see here, if we put that drill there, it will start making cobblestone like Create 6.0 if we have that chute there. But if we take that away, it's going to let that water fall out and instead make stone. Now this will be slower, but it will get the job done if you're using anything before Create 6.0. Now that we have our cobblestone, we'll need to mill it into gravel, which is pretty simple. So what we can do is place a cogwheel to the side of the millstone, or there's a little shaft underneath where we can give it power as well. And once we give that power, there are a few ways that we can actually input the items. The first is through the top, so if you just drop your cobblestone in, it'll start crushing that into gravel. Or you can use a andesite or brass funnel to input as well, from the sides or the bottom, and you can also use those same funnels to output the gravel. So the brass funnel will output up to a stack of items at a time, whereas the andesite funnel will only output one item. And once we output our gravel, we'll need to wash it. And how we do that is we have our little encased fan here, and then we can place an item on the depot, and if this encased fan has water in front of it and we give it some rotational power, it will begin to wash that gravel. And if you don't see these particles coming off of the gravel, you'll need to switch the direction of rotation. But once it does wash that gravel, it has a 25% chance to give you 1 flint and a 12% chance to give you an iron nugget. As you can see, we got a flint there, and you can also stack multiples of them so they all get washed at once, which is more efficient. However, for every 16 items in the stack, it'll take a little bit longer to actually wash them. And we should see that it turns it into iron nuggets and flint pretty soon, and yep, there it goes. So from that we got 7 iron nuggets and 14 flint. And that's pretty much all you need for an iron farm. I guess you also will need probably some sort of storage, but other than that, it's basically those 4 simple steps. And before I show you how to build these designs, I'm going to show you them first, just so you know which one you want to build, since there are going to be quite a few of them. All but one of the iron farms I will be showing you in this video will be 1 block wide, just like this one is. And that one that isn't 1 block wide we'll get to later. But this first design is 9 blocks tall and 4 blocks wide. And this is already a pretty compact iron farm, mainly because it's only in a 1 block wide area. So what will happen here is we have this drill connected up to this encased chain drive, and whenever we give this power, it will break this cobblestone. That cobblestone will drop into this millstone where it gets milled because this cogwheel is attached to the side of the millstone and it's attached to a gearbox which is attached to this drive. And then once that gets gravel, it'll output it here where this depot actually has an encased fan washing below it, which allows the gravel on here to get washed. And once that is washed, it'll output just the iron nuggets and flint from this list filter, and that'll go into this chute, which will bring it into this basin to be compacted into iron nuggets. And then we have a smart chute here to output from the basin using a list filter only the flint and iron ingots into this double chest. And if we turn this on, we can see it in action. So we'll see that this cobblestone is going into the millstone and it's being milled, and that's getting washed and going into this basin here. And we already have a piece of flint in this chest, but we should soon be able to see that there are iron nuggets going into this basin and eventually getting packed into an ingot. I also quickly want to show you that I want these builds to be tileable, and if you don't know what that means, it basically is placing two machines side by side, but they'll still work without breaking each other, even though they're right next to each other. And if we try to do that with the farm just how it is, one of these fans is not going to be correct. And I forgot to place the water there. So as I was saying, if we try and put these together right now, it'll actually break because these aren't tileable due to the millstones having connected to each other and the cogwheels also connecting to each other and connecting to these gearboxes. And to fix that, you'll actually need to replace this gearbox and this cogwheel with one trap door so the water doesn't flow out. And you'll only actually need to put a cogwheel and this gearbox on one of your machines out of all of the ones that are tiled together. And now if we put these together, they'll work perfectly fine. So just know that if you want to tile this build or some of the other builds as well. And this first design was pretty good, but I did want to improve on it. So I did that with this second design, which I put on the sign as 9 blocks tall, but it's actually 8 blocks tall. As you can see, it's 1 block shorter. And these are fairly identical actually. The only difference is instead of using a smart chute here, I switched it out for a brass funnel on the side. And I also moved up this gearbox and shafts up a block along with the chest, which I made a single chest instead of a double. Then I put an input andesite funnel to input into this chest, which means that these builds are basically the same, just one is slightly shorter and a bit more improved. Which also means that if you wanted to build this one, you'd only have to make those couple changes and then you'd have a fully functioning build. The next design actually feels like not an improvement from this, but I was at least able to learn something from it, and that is that design 3 is still 8 blocks tall, but it's 5 blocks wide, as you can see here. But I was able to learn that we can use hoppers in this build and not just the create mod items, which was good, although in this build it didn't work out too well. And we can go ahead and give it a test to see if it works. And we can see that it is working, except for the fact that I didn't realize this until just now. I don't know how, but this mechanical press isn't connected to anything. Meaning that this is actually 6 blocks wide and pretty much just a failed build. But at least I learned the hopper from it. I cannot believe I did not see that until just now. But yeah, let's go to this next build. So this is going to be our first bonus design, and this is the only one that is not 1 block wide or long, whatever you want to call that. This one is actually a 2x2x8 that if we turn on, we will see that it sadly does not work. and you might be able to catch why. Yeah, for some reason, Create 6.0 does not like having the lava to the side, so a 2x2 just won't be possible. But at least I did learn that that won't work, so I guess that's a plus. But otherwise, it was a pretty good design, honestly. If it did work, this would have been a pretty compact 2x2 design. But that's bonus design number 1 over with. And we can now move on to my 4th design, which is actually the same height as the first build. And honestly, I'm not sure what I improved here, if anything. So this will work pretty much the same as that first design, it just looks a bit different. So I'll skip actually showing you how to make this one. Now this design 5, I did make 8 blocks tall and 4 blocks wide, except for I'm not sure why I put this andesite funnel here. Looking back, you could just, I don't know what I was thinking there. I'm also now realizing that this uses 9 encased chain drives when it only needs 6. And the thing I learned with this next build, which is actually about the same as this one, just with a few blocks changed, and it is this. Yeah, so the difference is that we have lava here, so we can actually burn up the flint, since flint is taking up a lot of space in our chest. So basically the difference is that we don't need that still. I don't know why I had that there again. Yeah, but the difference is we make the chest a block shorter, which reduces its storage a bit, but also we reduce the amount of items going into it significantly by destroying that flint and lava, and this works by having only the iron nuggets go into this basin and not the flint. This is a pretty good design if you wanted to build this for yourself, but I think the one I'm going to show you next is even better, and design 6 is actually only 6 blocks tall. And from this I learned multiple things, which were both very important in making this small. And what makes this build so small is that instead of having to have this 3 block tall mechanical press, we can actually use just the 1 block mechanical crafter with a pulse timer to the side, which takes up way less space. So how this works is you have the basic cobblestone generator and millstone, but then this millstone outputs onto a waterlogged depot. As you can see in these other builds, I actually put the water in between the fan and the depot, which was losing us a block of space. But by waterlogging the depot, we're actually saving that block, and that combined with the crafter actually spitting into a barrel, which doesn't need you to have a block above it, is what was able to get me this tiny design. And obviously, this design only works in 1.21 or higher because you don't have the crafter otherwise. So now that you've seen all the designs, I'm going to show you how to make some of them. And the first one we'll be doing is design number 1. And to do that, it's pretty simple. We just need a 9 block tall encased chain drive back here with our vertical gearbox here, and it's 2 shafts, and then we'll need 3 more going up like this. Then we'll put our double chest down here along with our smart chute that has that list filter on it set to only output iron ingots and flint. Then we'll need our basin, which we'll set to only make iron ingots. We'll need these 2 chutes here going diagonal from each other so that we have items drop into this one and they'll go into the basin. And of course, to compact these nuggets into ingots, we'll need our press here. Then we'll need an encased fan, a few trap doors around where the encased fan is going to have its water. Then we'll actually need the water and lava, so we'll place 1 bucket of water there. We'll put our depot above with a few brass funnels and our millstone, so it should look like that. Now this top brass funnel here doesn't need a filter, but this bottom one needs to be filtered to only output iron nuggets and flint. Then we can place our mechanical drill with 2 trap doors around it like this to hold in the water, as well as a cogwheel and vertical gearbox below like that. And for the final few things, we'll need a cobblestone and a temporary block here with 3 trap doors, and we can break the temporary block and place lava. And finally, we should just need to place our water there. And now if we give it some power, we should see that it starts working. And yep, that gravel is being washed, and we have iron nuggets going into this basin, which means that it's working. We will be skipping how to build design 3, bonus design 1, and design 4, and going straight to design 5. And design 5 is pretty much going to be the best design for building a small iron farm if you don't have access to the crafter. But we'll start by placing our chest here with a basin above. The basin will get an input brass funnel as well as an output here, and this input needs to only input iron nuggets. This funnel only needs to output iron ingots, and this chest can just get an andesite funnel for an input. Then we'll need our mechanical press, a shaft, and 5 block tall of encased chain drive, as well as our encased fan here, a shaft, and a vertical gearbox. Then we'll have our millstone here with its output brass funnel. Then we'll need a temporary block here with 2 trapdoors and a depot. Then we can break that temporary block and place water in front of that fan. And finally, we'll need a drill with 3 trapdoors around it like that, a piece of cobblestone in front of it, as well as a temporary block with 3 trapdoors. Break that temporary block and place some lava. We'll also need to waterlog this drill and grab our lava here, as well as some trapdoors to encase it. And now if we turn on this machine, we should see it working properly, and it is. Except for the fact that I forgot to put our brass funnel here with our list filter on it like that, so it outputs only the flint and iron nuggets. But then we should see here pretty soon the items go into this chest. Oh, and there they go. We have 5 iron nuggets already, which means that this build is working properly. And if you really didn't want to remove the flint, you can just place your chest there with an input andesite funnel instead, and this will work just fine. And now it's time to build design 6. And this one, as you can see, is very simple, and you are probably able to build it just by looking at it, but just in case, I'll show you how to build it anyways. So to build it, we'll start off by placing our barrel here, as well as 3 trap doors like this with lava inside. Then we'll need any block you want here with a pulse timer facing into the crafter, which we'll place down into the barrel. So it should look like this, with the face facing into the barrel. And just to make sure that it works, we can see that those iron nuggets go into the barrel. And the default time it takes for this pulse timer to have a redstone pulse is just fine, so you don't need to change that. But we will need an input brass funnel here filtered to only input iron nuggets. And above this crafter, we'll need to place our depot with an output brass funnel filtered to only output iron nuggets and flint. We'll also need 2 trapdoors on the side of this depot, as well as a encased fan facing into it, and then we can waterlog that depot, as well as placing 4 encased chain drives behind this fan, 1 vertical gearbox with a cogwheel on top, and to the side we'll place our millstone, which will need a brass funnel below it to output. And finally we'll need our mechanical drill facing this way with cobblestone in front of it and 2 trapdoors on the side. We'll waterlog that. We'll also need a few trapdoors here and 1 underneath as well to encase the lava like this. And now if we give this some power, we'll see that it works just fine. And yep, it just put that flint into the lava, and we'll just wait to see until it gets an iron nugget in here. And there it goes. So now if we just put a few more in there, we'll see that it makes an iron ingot, which means that this is working properly. And now it is time to move on to that final 4x4 design that you may have been waiting for. And these are the materials we'll need for this 4x4x1 block iron farm. So our barrel will go like this, and this is where we're going to store our items, and we'll have an andesite funnel inputting into it. We'll also need a vertical gearbox above it with a cogwheel above that and an encased fan to the side, a depot in front. We'll need to place down a bunch of trap doors like this, all the way around so water does not flow where we don't want it to. But before we close them all, we need to place a brass funnel underneath. We'll give this that iron nugget and flint filter. Then we can close our trap doors. And you might have seen what makes this so small already, and we'll actually need to waterlog this funnel here. And what actually makes it small is that we are not going to be turning the nuggets into ingots or burning the flint. We'll need our 3 encased chain drives with our mechanical drill in front with its trapdoors on the side, 1 cobblestone in the middle, waterlog that drill. We'll need 1 temporary block with our trapdoors around it. We can break that door and place lava here. Ow. And if you wanted to, you could make this work as a 4x4x1 block iron farm, which is pretty insane. And we should see it, oh wait, it's backward. And here in a moment, we should see it start outputting its items into this barrel. And we can see that it did. And we even got more items, which means that this whole system here is working properly. So these are all the builds I have for today. Don't forget to leave a comment down below with what you would like to see in the next video. And while you're down there, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, share this video with your friends who may want to see it, and maybe even become a channel member if you want to help support the channel even more. And you can click on that playlist you see on screen if you want to see all of my other farms that I've made with the Create mod. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.